Welcome to Just Trying, the channel where we find joy in everyday things. This month I've been learning how to write in many forms, such as tragedy, comedy, and romance. Today we'll be talking about horror. And you might be wondering, but Crown, why am I watching you sew right now? And why is the camera at such a terrible angle? Well, the simple thing is, the camera's at a terrible angle because I didn't know how else to angle it, even though I live with a film soon-to-be major. And the reason you see me sewing is because that kind of has to do what I have to talk about. I've already written the horror script. I've already gone over and above. And in fact, instead of like the other ones where you see it in the beginning of 2021, you'll be seeing the horror script at the end of next month. That's right, the horror script is coming out for Halloween. I hope you're excited. So, and you're like, okay, but how does sewing have to do with it? Well, sewing has to do with it because for the Halloween video, the first time I have to sew an own outfit for one of the characters in it. Wooshala. So, let's talk about writing horror, and that's my connection, by the way. The horror genre is a very wide and ambiguous thing, right? And personally, as a person who's never written horror movies, that's true. I've never really written horror except for I don't really watch horror movies at all because I don't like the way that they scare me. I don't like being scared, and I don't really like the blood and guts. And to me personally, a good horror movie is a horror movie that has a lot of suspense. And I've heard that a lot of horror movies are mostly on cheap jump scares, cheap thrills. They're not really suspenseful, they're just more action oriented, which is all good if that's your cup of tea, but it's not really my cup of tea either way. So whenever I went to write this horror, I tried to set in mind, how can I make this suspenseful? How can I fit it into my regime, my idea of how horror is written, portrayed, done so on the big silver screen, even though that's not my point of writing this. I wanted to make this as, I would say scary, but like heart-pounding as possible, I guess? I'm not quite sure. And for the script, I will actually be having 4 characters. And the interesting about the script, about this specific script, is this will be the 3rd or 4th remake and final thing that I will be creating for the script. I've actually had this idea for months. Not even months. I've had this idea for the script for years. That this will be the beginning of something new and amazing and totally awesome. This is one of the first times I've gone out of my way to find new ideas on how I can make something like this better and more entertaining and more enlightening and just as cool and amazing as I possibly could. And I am very excited for it, and I'm trusting God to take care of it. So, I want to talk a little bit about this sewing that you see me going through, by the way. This is the first time I'm actually sewing something, and the skirt that I'm sewing is too big for me, so I'm sewing it to make it smaller. I'm sure some of you who actually know to sew will see that my technique is in fact very wrong. Very, very wrong. And I am well aware. My idea was just to go through and around, tighten it and use as much as I could. I didn't know how to pull the thread all the way through, so in the end I actually didn't make it as, use as much thread as I wanted to make sure it stayed together. I couldn't tie a knot, so it's probably going to come out. And I was lazy because I didn't want to do another section of sewing. So I love that. And the funny thing is, it took me like 20 minutes to 30 minutes, maybe even an hour to get the thread. We couldn't find the end of the thread at all. Like, I looked for 5-10 minutes. My dad looked for 5 minutes before he found it. We finally found the end of the thread to the spoolie, and we were able to get started there. So it took me an hour to get the thread into the needle thing, which is great. Not really, because I was trying to watch an anime at the same time, Hunter x Hunter, the last season. Very interesting and very intriguing. You'll actually see a blooper at the end of the video, if you stay around for that long, that I am actually not paying attention, and you'll see in the blooper what I do. So anyway, while I have your attention about the blooper, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and join the ride to subscribe, even though I just said that. check the description for all my social medias. You'll see them pop up on the screen right now. And I appreciate you being here and watching. Not a lot of people have been watching my videos, which is kind of, I would say rude, but that's not the right word. It's just kind of not cool. And considering it's just kind of not fun because I'm spending like a lot of time and effort making these videos, even though apparently like sometimes it doesn't look like it. I really am. Like, I'm spending hours on these things, to filming, to editing and everything, and people aren't watching. So that's the way it is, you know. That's how YouTube is. But I know everything's gonna get better. I know everything's gonna be a-okay. And anyway, back to the sewing. So after it took me an eternity to get the thread into the needle, I go to cut off the end of the thing so I don't have too much at the end of my needle, even though that was a bad idea already because apparently I need that to be able to tie a knot. The more you know. Or do I? I don't know. All the experienced sewers are shaking in their boots. They're just like, why are you sewing if you don't know how to? Because I can? Oh, not really. I would appreciate some sewing tips in the comment section, please and thank you. I actually go to cut off the excess thread, and I cut off the thread from the spool, which means I have to do it all over again. And I thought it was going to take forever, and it turns out apparently once was enough for me to understand how to do it, and I was able to do it 4 more times. It untied the first time and then just wouldn't go through, and then a bunch of other stuff, which is so much fun, I say sarcastically. Also, I have a question for you guys. Tell me if you like the way I'm talking now compared to like the last couple script videos, because this one actually doesn't really have a script with it. Like the other ones I wrote a script out before I even like made it, and this time it's just me talking to you guys, talking about everything that's going on, about the horror script to come up, and about all of this. Like, which one do you think I sound more natural and good in? I think I sound more natural in this one, but you guys may have a better coherent understanding if I script it. So if you got any tips, I would appreciate it. Anyone who's interested in writing horror TV horror or anything, I would suggest you watch The Closer Look. He has some great video essays about how to write and how to write really good, and he has some great villain and horror essays out there, and he's continuing to improve, and it's amazing. You guys need to watch his channel. So good. His channel's gonna be at the end of the video, so you'll have to wait to see it there. It's also in the description. I don't really have anything else to say, so I hope you like, comment, join the ride, and subscribe. Know that I love you, God loves you, and everything's gonna be a-okay. This is not copyright, not copyright. We're all at peace, not copyright, And that's gonna be the end music for a while because I don't have music.